I mentioned at the beginning of the Shia the tragedy that befell us all last week, Tuesday morning. And this is a mega tragedy. And the images we have seen brought back horrible memories. Memories that we thought we will never have to witness again. Seeing people in talis and in tefillin being butchered, not only killed, but butchered in such a brutal, barbaric fashion. Which brings us back to pictures from the Holocaust, from the pogroms in the Ukraine and in Eastern Europe, pictures from Hebron in Tarpat, horrible images and pictures and memories. When I visited the families, which was extremely moving to me personally, I quoted a medrash that we find in Koheles in Perek Gimel. The medrash says, "Misoira zu yehei biyad." If a person is engaged in a mitzvah before his demise, before he perishes, if a person passes from this world while he's engaged in a mitzvah, it is as if Kodesh Baruch Hu testifies that all he was lacking is this one mitzvah. So these tzaddikim, nafsham yotzu b'dabra, while being in a Mokum Kodesh, this is our holy sanctuary, the Beis Mikdash Ma'at. We have nothing that is holier and more precious than a shul. In shul with talis and tefillin, which is a tremendous chus, but that doesn't lessen the tragedy. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu could be noikev dam, nikmas dam, avodav hashofuch, Hashem yinkom dam. Ki dam avodav yokom, v'nokem yoshev letzoro v'chiper ad mos hayam. So on one hand, with all the natural anger and wrath we have on these barbarians, on the other hand, we have to do a cheshbon nefesh. The great Tana Rabbi Kiva says in Perek Gimel, Mishnah Tezvov and Masacre Avos, Hakol Safui v'harashus nesuna. And it is only once that the Rambam is moved and inspired and is spoiled. Very uncommon for the Rambam. And the Rambam says, Zah ma'amar koilol dvorim gedoylem ha'oid v'ra'ui v'Rabbi Kiva ben Yosef. The Rambam says, only Rabbi Kiva could make such a profound statement. And I say, only the Rambam could compliment Rabbi Kiva for the profound statement that he made. So on one hand, everything is predestined and predetermined. Nothing could happen in this world if it's not a Kodesh Baruch Hu's will. But that does in no way diminish the liability and responsibility of human beings. On one hand, we have Bechira. Ish becheto yumas v'rashoim tiradof ra. But on the other hand, we believe that everything is predetermined. These people, time has come for them to go up to Gan Eden, to go home, to face their destiny. Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted them up there. In no way does that diminish the horror of these murders. So we are required to do cheshbon nefesh, because the Rambam writes in the first halach in Al-Chastanis, Mitzvah sasei shel Torah lizoik v'laharia al kol tzorei shetovi al yisor. And the Rambam goes on in Halacha Gimel to say, Ve'im lo yezaku ve'lo yariu v'yomru it is coincidence. הרי זו דרך אקזוריוס. וטוב היצור הזו צרות אחרות. Kodesh Baruch Hu speaks to us. And when tragedy strikes, he is demanding. And he wants us to listen. And the Rambam interprets the Pasuk, Im telchu imi b'keri, ani elech imochem b'chamat keri. Keri is a lotion of mikra, coincidence. If you will not take to heart, and you will merely say, and dismiss my call to you, and you will say, well, it happens. Things like this happen. They happen in Japan, they happen in Korea, they happen in Russia. It happens. No. Things don't just happen. Things happen when HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants them to happen, and therefore it is incumbent upon us lizoik v'laharia, and to do a cheshbon nefesh. Lo novi ani v'lo ben novi. I'm not a prophet. And when people ask me all day, so what is it exactly that we have to be mitaken? I think everybody should know where he is lacking and what he has to be mitaken. But generally, I think there are the Yesodis which Chazal teach us are ma'orer rachamei shema. I think when terrible tragedy strikes us, the first chizik we need is in emunah and an ahavas Hashem. The Pasuk says, "V'yodato im lavavecho, ki ka'asher yiyaser ish et beno Hashem Elokecho miyasoreko." Like a father punishes his children out of love, or a mother. Ki ka'asher yiyaser ish et beno Hashem Elokecho miyasoreko. And a Parshas Re'ei, when the Pasuk says, "Boni amatem l'Hashem Elokechem, lo yisis goyim, v'lo tasimu krochem en einechem l'meis," the Ramban says, you are a Kodesh Baruch Hu's children. And a Kodesh Baruch Hu loves us more than a father loves his children. A Kodesh Baruch Hu loves us more than a father loves his children. How much more? I wonder, how much more? Well, whenever we speak in allegory, b'derech moshel u'melitza, we necessarily have to use terms we are familiar with. So we know of no greater love than a love of a father to his children, parents to their children. So when we look for a moshel, how does the Kodesh Baruch Hu's love to us manifest itself? The Pasuk says, "Boni matem l'Hashem Elokechem," like children. The Ramban says the Kodesh Baruch Hu loves us more than a father could ever love his children. How much more? 1,000,000 times? 1,000,000,000 times? Infinitely more. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu is infinite. Ein Sof. But we need to feel and not only believe. That is what Rabbi Kiva taught us when he said, "Kol di Ovid Rachmon elatav Ovid." And Rabbi Kiva was a disciple of Nochem Ish Gamzu that Al Kol Tzorei Shalei Tov said Gamzu L'Tov. When a person says Kabbalas O Malchus Shemayim, you cover your eyes when you say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Hashem Elokeinu are two different names of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. One indicative of Midas Adin. Elokim is Midas Adin, while Havai is Midas Arachamim. So we say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu. Ultimately, Hashem Echad. And Midas Adin, in a way, is also Midas Arachamim. But we don't see that, and that is why we cover our eyes when we make this statement. Yes, it's difficult to see, but we believe. That is what we were taught. And we believe, Ki ka'asher yiyaser ish et beno Hashem Elokecho miyasoreko, and when we hurt, HaKadosh Baruch Hu feels our pain in an infinite way, more than we could feel the pain of our beloved children. And this is what we believe, and this is what keeps us going. And this is what was so obvious when I visited these 4 wonderful families in Har Nof. We need to be mischazik in Torah, because the Mishnah says, Mar b'Torah, Mar b'chaim. Ki hi chayechem v'orech yomechem. Torah is life. And aside to that, Chof Aleph, the Gemara says, Torah more than any other mitzvah is aguri magnu u'metzila matzle. Torah gives us security more than any other mitzvah. So many times we are accustomed to hear from Darshanim, from Rabbanim, never did Klal Yisrael learn as much Torah as it does today. Never was there a generation of so many Lamdim as we have today. If we are so great, why are we so pained? Why does tragedy strike us? We believe in Din Shemayim. So obviously we're not as great as we sometimes think we are. And I think that each and every one of us, when he does his own personal cheshbon and nefesh, al mishkavoi beleilot, we could all do more. We could all learn more. And I'm quite confident about that. There are still many Eden amongst us that aren't kaveitim l'Torah. And those that are kaveitim l'Torah could learn far more than they are learning. I think so. I think that I could learn more than I'm learning. And I think that everybody would feel that in his own seidion. So we need to renew our dedication and our devotion to Torah. We need to daven more. Because when tragedy strikes, that's what the Rambam says, Lizoig v'lahariya. Tefillah is defined as rachamim. And that is the Gemara in Brochas Chafum and Beis. The Gemara says, L'chayra, women should be exempt from the mitzvah of tefillah. It's a mitzvah to say Shas Mangrana. But the Gemara says that is impossible. Because tefillah is rachamim. Is anybody in this world not in the need of rachamim shemayim? So tefillah is the tool. Tefillah is the means to be zocheh to rachamim shemayim. So the Gemara says, regardless of the rule, no shema poter mitzvah sheisha mangrama, but tefillah is rachamim. There cannot be any Jew that's poter from tefillah because we all need rachamim shemayim. And when tragedy strikes, mitzvahs essential Torah lizoig v'lahariya, and to cry before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Misha Amar Olam Eidai Yoim Alatzoro Seim. And we need to do far more in Ahavas Reim and Ahavas Yisrael. Being more tolerant one towards another, in the personal level and the communal level, far more Ahavas Yisrael. The Netziv writes in his unbelievable introduction to the Hamek Davar and Chamisha Chumash Torah, speaking about Churban Bayis Sheni. In Yom Test, the Gemara says Churban Bayis Sheni was caused by sinas chinam. So the Netziv writes, they were tzaddikim, chasidim, va'ameloi Torah. What could be greater than that? Tzaddikim v'chasidim v'amelei Torah. But they were lacking in midas and in yashas halichoseim, and they had sinas chinam. And each of them thought that anybody that has a different opinion than he has isn't kosher enough. And anybody that thinks differently is a tzedoiki v'apikoyos. Ve'eina kodesh Baruch Hu soivel tzadikim ke'ela. I'm quoting the Lashon of the Netziv. Nobody doubted their tzidkes. Tzadikim, chasidim, v'amelei Torah. So the Netziv says, some tzadikim HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves more, and some he loves less. They're all tzadikim. Eina kodesh Baruch Hu soivel tzadikim ke'ela. And 300 years before the Netziv, one of the greatest Mekabonim was Rabbeinu Avram Azulai, Sefer Chesed LaAvram. And he uses far harsher language than the Netziv. And he says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sonet ha-mekatregim al bonav, gam im tzadikim gedolim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sonet ha-mekatregim al bonav. So obviously, as you look at me, I'm a chassid. Should be obvious. We'll leave for another day to discuss what a chassid is. But everybody knows about the Baal Shem Tov. Number two, as a teacher of all Chassidim, regardless of shape, color, and form, is the Noam Elimelech. The Elimelech Milezhens, and in his famous tefillah, that Chassidim v'Anshe Masa say before davening every morning, there's this famous line, Ta'im b'libeinu shenira kol echad maros chavereinu v'lo chesunam. Why is it that we always focus on our midas and on the shortcomings of others? We have it the opposite, the wrong way. Shenira kol echad maros chavereinu. We should have far more tolerance and far more ahavas Yisrael. I think we are extremely lacking in this area. Kodesh Baruch Hu is a father. That is how we refer to Kodesh Baruch Hu in our tefillos. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Avorachama. And if we call a Kodesh Baruch Hu a father, it is because we should relate to him as a father. Just a few moments ago, we discussed the Ramban and Bonim Matam Nashem Elokech. You cannot love the father and hate his children. I don't think anybody would tolerate that. You can't be my friend and fight my children. Ze lo holech. This is something which is totally unacceptable. So you can't love a Kodesh Baruch Hu and hate his children. That is impossible. If you love a Kodesh Baruch Hu, you need to love his children. And we are all a Kodesh Baruch Hu's children. We are all Bonov Shel Elokei. So I had the schus of being Mishamish, the great Kloisenberger Rebbe. Many years I was his Talmud. And I see him as my Rebbe Muvak. And as you all probably know, he lost a wife and 11 children in the Holocaust. I myself, I'm a son of survivors. My father and mother, Baruch Hashem, Sheyichu Adbi, as girl said, B'toy v'b'ne'imim. And I once heard from my Rebbe, the Kloisenberger said, so when we came out of those camps, we would never believe the Jews would ever fight each other or hate each other. There is so much hatred out there. Look at this unbelievable hatred of these murderers in Har Nof. There are too many people that hate us in the first place. Do we need to add on amongst our brothers? We are a small people, hated in the entire world. How could one Jew hate another? This is something which I cannot grasp. This is something which is unbelievable. And this is an area in which we need a lot of chizuk to bring shalom. Talmid HaChacham Amar Mishalom B'Yolim. Lo nitnu Torah L'Ahav Shalom B'Yolim. That Rambam writes at the end of Hilchos Chanukah. So we all need a lot of chizuk in Torah, in Tefillah, in Amunah, and in Midas Toivos, and in Ahavas Re'eh. Ishes Re'ehu Yazeru, U'La'ochav Yomer Chazal. Feeling the pain of other Jews, feeling their desperation, and trying to be helpful. Dedicating time and effort to the Midas Chasodim, to care about other people, and to try to ease their pain. So there's a very famous story of Rabbi Moshe Leib Misasa, who was a disciple of Rabbi Elimelech Milezhens. And Rabbi Moshe Leib Misasa once said that the profound meaning of Yehavta Re'echo Kamocho I learned from a Gentile. So I don't want you to be surprised. That is in accordance with the Baal Shem Tov principles. The Baal Shem Tov said whatever a person sees, whatever he hears, whatever he experiences, comes to teach him. Whatever we see or experience comes to teach us something. So Rabbi Moshe Leib Sasava said, I was once walking on the street and I hear two goyim conversing. Mr. A asks Mr. B, do you love me? And Mr. B says, aren't you ashamed to ask? I mean, we've been the best of friends for 20 years, of course. So Mr. A asks, so what hurts me? Mr. B says, how would I know? You didn't tell me. Mr. A asks, how would you say you love me if you don't even know what hurts me? But you didn't tell me. Did you inquire? Do you care? Did you ask? How could you say you love me if you don't even know what hurts me? Said Rabbi Weiss. That is the Even HaBoichen. That is the test of Ahavas Re'im. You don't even know what hurts me. So how could you say you love me? But you didn't tell me. Do I have to tell you? Do you care? Did you inquire? Did you ask? So ultimately, this is the test. When tragedy strikes, I think we have to stick together and invest far more in Midas Davis and Ahavas Re'im, in Gemilas Chasadim, and stay away from machlokes. Reject machlokes with total rejection. There are enough Jew haters out there. We don't need to add to them. Let us all hope that we will see Rachamei Shamayim Be'id Galia Velo Be'id Kasya. So Zmiris L'Shabbos Mincha Sosha that came out a few months ago is a nice board. Leil Shabbos Kodesh, Friday night, before sitting down to Suda Shabbos, there's a tefillah, which Hasidim say, probably many others. We say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moed Ani Lefonecha Al Kol HaChesed Asher Osisu Imadi V'She'ata Osed La'aseh Simi V'Yem Kol B'nei Beisi. So when you thank on the Chasadim of the past, you say Asher Osisu Imadi. But then we go on to ask for Chasadim in the future, and we say Asher Ata Osed La'aseh Simi V'Yem Kol B'nei Beisi. So my idea is, regarding the past, we thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all his chasadim. We believe that everything ultimately is chesed. But please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for the future, give us chasadim that even our kids should be able to thank you. Kol b'nei beisi, the ingalach, the meidalach, the little children. It should be chasadim that would be obvious to everyone. And the entire family should be able to be united in giving thanks and gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Chasadov HaMerubim. We should all know better days of Rachamim and Chesed. We should all make our own Cheshbon and Nefesh and let this tragedy bring about that we should all be better people and better Jews and more loving Jews. And we should be Zoichet Chazdei Shemayim. Ki dam avodav yikoim, v'nokem yoshev letzorov, v'chiper admosoi amoi. And we should be zoichet to be as Mashiach tzedkeinu, v'simchas oilam al roishon b'meiru v'yumeinu.